Hi everyone, welcome back to Live in Italy Magazine's YouTube channel, and you can now hear this interview on Spotify. Just look for Italy Answered, Live in Italy Magazine, and as always, our articles are on our website, and you can find some photos and all the links that we're also going to share below. So like I always said, before we get started, please remember to follow, like, subscribe, comment. Everything helps both us and our guests. I'm very pleased today to welcome Lorrah and Lisa of the Amateurs Abroad. And they probably don't need an introduction because if you are like us, Italy loving, interested in €1 homes, moving to Italy, everything like that, chances are you discovered them just like I did too, which is on TikTok, but of course they're on Instagram too. So just pick your platform of choice. We're gonna talk today, they are both from the United States, about this whole journey about moving to Italy or wanting to move to Italy, in Lisa's case, about buying homes. And what I like about it, and I think what you appreciate, is this is first-hand experience. And the Amateurs Abroad, and they can get into it more, is just their own experience, probably through the ups and downs and ins and outs that we would all go through. So I am really happy to have that resource. So let's get into it. My name is Lisa Morales, and I'm the editor of Live in Italy Magazine, a travel and lifestyle publication dedicated to all things Italy. Welcome, Lisa and Lorrah.
Thank you.
I'm so
and stress
glad
the word amateurs, like you said. We're trying first, and we definitely made mistakes along the way, but fine-tuning everything.
Yeah, that's great. And that's the best way to learn. And that's fantastic. So I'm so excited. And I'm sure anybody that's watching this to hear about your journey. So let's go back before this whole Mussomeli moving to Italy thing happened. Tell us, and you can go, whoever wants to go first, tell us a bit about yourselves. Where were you born and raised, and anything you want to share?
Well, Lisa and I were raised mostly in Northern California, and she's in Arizona now, and I was in Northern California again, and I would kind of travel internationally every year and go back and a different place, and I'd been to Italy over the last 15 years a few times, and every time I was there, like, oh, this feels like home, and I remember taking my nephew for his high school graduation trip to Italy, and us walking down the street. I'm like, Sean, we need to make this happen. And we, how there's always the home listings in real estate windows, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I could buy that one. Okay, I can do that. I'm like, what would I do for a job? And I do remember with him brainstorming, they don't have kettle corn here. There's tons of tourists. They'll probably like kettle corn. And so we had this just cockamamie idea to start a kettle corn thing in Rome or in Florence, actually. And that hasn't happened here nonetheless. And so then I bought the house, and then Lisa came and visited Italy for the first time, not the house where I'm in Mussomeli, Sicily. Yeah. We met in Rome, and you and her daughter met her son and I over there. What was that? Yes. How long ago was that, Lisa? 2 years ago?
2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah, so she was introduced to the Rome and Venice and all that first, and then came over to my smaller town of Mussomeli.
Yeah.
So this is all pretty recent. When was the first time that you went to Italy? Like with your nephew? How many years ago was that? So Lisa, it was a couple of years ago.
Well, the first time I went was about 20 years ago. I went on a trip with a girlfriend, and then right after, before COVID, Sean and I went.
2015.
Okay, then Sean and I went in 2015. And then I kept feeling like it could go back and forth. And to be honest, when COVID happened and I couldn't travel, and I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? I have a lot of places I want to go to, and my knees are working, my hips are working. And there's a lot of walking in this country. And so I thought, well, what if first I thought I could stay somewhere different every summer. Then I thought, well, what if I buy something inexpensive? It's my home base. And then I can see tons of different places because I have, you only have so many good summers left, right? And so that was the plan once COVID happened, because I'm like, there's no way I could be locked away from the rest of the world. And so then after, when everyone started being able to travel, is when, and also during COVID is when I started researching everything. And I think a lot of people did that with, sourdough bread, but instead I was like, how do I get into Europe, specifically Italy?
So meanwhile,
guilty sourdough bread. Yeah, go ahead, Lisa. This is funny.
Hear Lorrah's plan found a place. It's in this place called Mussomeli. I'm gonna move there. Okay, da-da-da. And we're like, oh, okay. Like the kids, Aunt Laura's lost her mind. She's
Right.
talking about some little town. I don't know. So I'm like, all right, but we were supportive,
Yeah.
and Ron saw it and was like, okay, it's legit.
And I think one of the elements to that too is as you start deep diving, you meet different people from social media that you follow and you kind of write them a note and then they'll answer. And so you're like, okay, you're a real person. So then when I was talking to Lisa and her kids or my son or my mom about it, it's like big when Oprah was on all the time. Like, you know what Oprah said the other day? Like, you're not friends with Oprah, right? And so I would say, like, oh, do you know what so and so said the other day? Like, you're not friends with them. Like, no, I think I'm friends with them. And it wasn't like in real life, but then since has become in real life, And so, but when you started talking that way, they're like, she's lost her mind.
She lost her marbles. But it works out.
I think that is the beauty of social media, and we can say that firsthand is how these kind of online experiences do become real. But I totally get it. So,
Right.
Lisa, you're in the United States right now. Lorrah is in Mussomeli. So, what are you doing there, Lisa, and what are your plans?
So I'm a special education teacher here in Arizona. I
Hmm.
love my job, but I am grateful that I'm able to have summers off so that I can go have adventures with Laura. Or if I can't make it for a summer, I can always do a winter. But it affords me the time to travel, and our family does a lot of traveling, either together or separate. So it's a good aspect of the job. But I enjoy my little kiddos that I get to teach and watch them flourish. So until I retire,
Yeah.
hopefully with Laura.
Yes.
That's the plan.
Yeah, and from what I'm reading, this has become kind of a family. Besides your nephew, your brother, I think, is involved too. So this is a whole
Yes.
family thing now.
Well, the funny part is my brother's in Florida, my sister's in Arizona, and I was in California, and now the three of us are getting together in Mussomeli, Sicily.
Right.
And so
We
now we'll
see
be
each other
neighbors.
more now.
We see each other
Wow.
more now because of it. And so my brother has a house here. He's in the renovation stage. And then my cousin we have three rental properties here, and he just invested in a rental property. So it's definitely a family affair.
Right. That's amazing. So let's backtrack. So we know because of travels and kettle corn and just loving Italy that like when did you take the leap? Like how to tell us, basically the steps because I'm sure there are many steps of,
Yeah.
you're here, you decide, okay, as much as I can, I want to get there. I want to buy a house. How did you find out about buying a
So
home?
this is the thing. I don't necessarily recommend the way I did it, Terry, because I'm really decisive, and when I see something like I knew, I liked everything I'd read about Mussomeli. I talked to a couple of people, and then I liked what they were saying, and it felt good. And then I reached out to others online, followed Facebook groups, all that stalking kind of stuff. So I felt really prepared. But then I made a reservation to go ahead and come see and have an appointment with an agent. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to just go there. If I find something I like, I'm going to buy it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that to other people. I think you should probably spend a little more time in the areas, and that's what you guys recommend all the time. But when you're a bonehead like me, you don't do it that way. So I came, and actually, Lisa can tell you when I landed and I'm driving, I was tired, I was hungry, and I'm driving in the middle of nowhere. And I went by myself too. So there's no one to look over next to and be like, is this normal? Or what do you think about this?
Right.
Or anything. So I'm leaving voice notes. And for Lisa and her kids are 25, they're in their 20s. They're not like kids.
No,
Yeah,
I get
but I
that.
left
They'll
them
always
voice
be
notes
your
on
kids.
my complete like meltdown, and she
Yeah.
saved them like a lovely sister would. But you can tell the gist of the messages
was I don't know what I've done. This is crazy. I don't know where I am. I'm lost. I'm in the middle of a field. Like,
oh,
like, oh no.
and they were on fire, remember? Because they were.
Oh yes, they're on fire. The fields are on fire. I don't know what's happening.
So yeah, that happened. And then I got to the hotel and then I ate, everything was closed. Also, I got here during the lunchtime when, everything shuts down. So then I'm like,
Right.
oh, I'm just in this apocalypse has hit this city. No one's around. And so then at like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, it became alive. And then I got food and then I got a really good sleep. And then because of the time difference, I hadn't spoken to anybody in the States. And then I went on a couple tours, saw some houses, met a lot of nice people, had dinner. I was like, oh, this is okay. This is why I was here. Then the next day so then I said, I left a message. Hey, I'm doing good. Everything's okay. Then I found my house the next day. Beautiful, beautiful house. I'm so happy I have it still. And then the next message to Lisa is, yeah, so I bought a house, I made friends, everything's good. But meanwhile, she's thinking, do we air that?
Hours, she goes, what have I done? I've got to get the first plane out of here. To I bought a house.
That is crazy. So Lisa, I mean, this is your sister Laura. Has she always been like that? Like spontaneous, crazy?
I mean, I wouldn't even say like not so much spontaneous, but decisive. Like
yes.
When she researches stuff, she's like, okay, I can do this and I'm going to do it.
I like
so,
it.
Yes, there's an element of spontaneity, but she's just very decisive. Like, I can do it or I can't do it. So let's do this. So if she finds something she likes, she's going to do it.
That's great. It just sounds like that when you retell it, but that's good to know. You always do all your homework, which kind of leads to my question.
Yes.
Why Mussomeli? Because there's been a lot of one-year home areas, projects, schemes, whatever you want to call it, in Italy.
I think that with, and I hate that word scheme, by the way. Like, it's so,
me too, because scheme sounds like
it means like con, right?
I think it might come from the Italian word. Like, might not have the same
program. Like if you say 1 year program, that doesn't sound like you're about to be conned, right?
Okay.
So I prefer that, but it's universally is called 1 euro scheme. So because that's how they put it out. I wish they wouldn't. But if the 1 euro program definitely got Mussomeli a lot of publicity. So it was much easier for me to find out more information about Mussomeli. So to be honest, that's part of it, is I was able to find out before I came so much information. And also they have a great expat community here, but that blends very well with the locals. The locals are very welcome because they're all part of this program and wanting to revitalize their town. And if you've seen any late statistics, Sicily as well as Italy, the population is going down, but Mussomeli has flourished over the last few years. So and the mayor here has gotten well over 70 million euro in grants to do revitalization. They absolutely are. They're redoing the streets. They've redone parking lots. They have the fiber optic network in. They've solar street lights everywhere. Like they've really, and they continue to do that. And they're very, very proud. And they redid the piazza, the main piazza. So now this summer there were just things 5 to 6 nights a week. The other summers there weren't because they didn't have like the one place to go. But I knew all these plans were in place, and so it's paid off just tenfold. It's just so much more vibrant. So those were the things that I was seeing. I was seeing that because a lot of the 1 euro towns are getting you to buy the house and kind of paying off their debt, right? But this one is getting you to buy the house and reinvesting in the city. And that's what made all the difference. And also the expat group here is phenomenal. So that's been wonderful.
Right. No, that's great. And that's great. I think that was the hardest thing, because I think the 1 euro, and we will not say scheme anymore because I don't like the word anymore. But the project it's been at least 10 years. But it's probably in the last, since COVID, it's probably really picked up.
Yes.
But I wanted to know, did you look at other 1 euro homes? Because I don't think you actually bought a 1 euro home.
I did not
yourself,
buy
right?
I did look at 1 euro homes, and I just did the math, and also did the math. I did the math on money and math on time, and like the time is the big. Knowing now how much time it takes to do a renovation, I already thought it would be long up front, but then now having gone through it with just simple things, it would have been forever. So the math was that you get a 1 euro house without, really electric plumbing. And also several of the ones that I looked at, and I looked at them like going on tours for other people, because people have contacted me and asked me to help them find a house and such. And so they go up to the second floor and they're like, you can't walk across the floor, just look around the corner. I'm like, what? And so it's not even stable to walk on the floor. So you start to do the thing of like, okay, to redo this whole house, and construction costs clearly aren't what it is in the States, but it's probably going to be a minimum of 30 grand. Well, there's plenty of houses here in Mussomeli that are good that you can get for 30 grand with some tweaks, some cosmetic issues, not foundational issues. Right. But in addition to that, probably 30 to 50, depending upon what you want done and stuff. But in addition to that, the time it's going to take and the time remotely, because if you're not here, things aren't happening, so you have to hire a project manager or be here. And I think a lot of people, it really drives me nuts that so much of the clickbait part is for publications and stuff to do is buy a €1 and watch renovations, and it's so easy. And that's usually not what people are doing. But it makes you think you can come here and work on the house yourself, and you can, but it's going to take you 2 years of back and forth or managing someone. And I want my life to start now. I don't want to wait 2 years for all the shenanigans and delays. And hey, guess what? Now it's August and no one does anything. And then hey, they get back warmed into September, but soon enough it's Christmas and no one's doing anything that month either. And so it's just the time it would take to start actually living the life you want to live would be 2 years. And so I'd rather buy something for similar price already done, and just cosmetic things that you can live in the house. Right. So I think I always recommend, if you want to do work, great. If you want to do things, terrific, but find something livable. Doesn't mean luxury, camping, but livable, and then make that what you want. Otherwise, you're relying on so many different tradesmen's timelines, and someone will say, I'll be there Tuesday, and then things delay for 2 weeks, and then you all of a sudden get a call, hey, I'm on my way, where are you at? And so you can't leave your house and go more than 10 minutes away, because at any moment someone could call, and then you can't say no, because then it's going to take another 2 or 3 weeks. And so the first summer we were out, Lisa will attest, we had a charge house. We had, this week we're here, this week we're there, like traveling all around the island of Sicily, and we did not leave the house because we could not risk. And that is a livable house that was just cosmetic, you couldn't risk missing out. So that's why the €1 were definitely not for me. And I'm so glad. I don't think I would be living in it now if I got a €1, because I do see several people online advertising the €1, and they'll help you get one. And they said they got one and they're renovating. They're still not living in their house at all. So they're getting Airbnbs when they come here. They're not even, and that would drive me more nuts, is spending money in a town to stay somewhere that you own a home. So
that's for people who have the time and want to put in that, like, I've got 5 years before I want to move in. So if that's what you're looking for, then I think that's an option. But if you're wanting to be more in it right now, would be to purchase that home.
And also Lisa's got a good point, because you could buy the euro now, start working on it. Know you want to do it over a certain amount of years, because the rules are that you have to fix the exterior of the home in the first 3 years. The interior is whatever. So you can have a 5-year plan that I'll invest $5,000 a year over the next 5 years, go back and forth. That's great. If that's, because that helps your budget too. You don't need all the money up front and all that. So that would be a way to do it, but that wasn't on my timeline of life.
And I totally get that. And for, any of us who are listening to you, and of course, going to your platforms as well, that, provides a great resource beyond what we're going to talk about today, is that one thing I think you're saying, both of you loud and clear, is be there. Right? It's like, I think a lot of people think, I could do this from a distance online and everything, and it's poof, it's all going to come together. So I think, just like anywhere, would you, let your home be renovated while you took 6-week vacation, kind of thing, right? You want to be there, and there's all these other obstacles, like, foreign country, what their regulations are, their timelines and everything like this, the language and things like this. So I do encourage you to go to their platform so you can find out more, because obviously today we can't answer any questions, but I am curious about Lorrah and Lisa, is how did the idea, because when I look at what you are today, I think, like, being a marketing person myself, she's got to have a marketing background. Like, this is very polished. This is good. Like, it's constant. But I bet it didn't start that way. It could have, a lot of us are marketing savvy. When did this all start? When did you decide, okay, I'm going to document this?
I think when people were asking me, like, I would say, oh, I got a house. And they're like, where? And then I pull something up on my phone and, well, what's your house look like? And then I pull slides. And so I'm like, because you're just so happy. So you're talking about this is what you're doing. And then,
right.
Like I said, Lisa's Arizona, David's in, our brother's in Florida. And so, and my mom's in California. And so it was more like a private Instagram thing, and they're showing stuff and they're like, oh, can we show so-and-so this? Oh, can we show? Because my mom's clearly bragging, right? And she's saying all this stuff. Look what my kids are doing. And it just became this thing. So then we're like, well, we need a sound, like we need a thing. And so Lisa and I remember talking about names, and I'm like, and I said, I think amateur, because then we can be sued, because we're really telling you we do not know what we're doing. And so, and then it's been good when we came up with the Amateurs Abroad, and then we thought the car logo was cute, like little
I love it.
Car. But really, we want people to know we do not know what we're doing. And to be honest, I always say I don't know what I'm doing, but for you guys, for Sam and everything, to follow her, like you guys know everything, and you're professionals, and you get the right answers. And when you have your boot camp annually, I'm like, this is, you have to go to it, because we don't know what we're doing. We'll tell you trial and error, but we're not experts at all.
Yeah. We could hopefully help you eliminate the errors.
Yeah. But and also, though, I think a lot of it too is not only what not to do, but like commiserating. People watch you go, oh, that happened to me. Thank goodness I'm not the only one.
Right. But it's hard to believe when, just coming in, because you obviously have learned so much in the process. Do you remember the year of your first public video then? Because you said you were just doing this among family, and then you just started.
Right. So 2000, it was not long ago, 2022, 21, 20, I don't know. 22, it must be 22.
Well, yeah, because like I did the math. I'll look here. Okay, so you have 82.3 thousand followers on TikTok, 77 and a half on Instagram. And then, you have Facebook, and then YouTube's over 4,000. So there you go. That's a big network from 2022.
So I think
you look like you didn't know that yourself.
No. One day Lisa called me, and she's like, she didn't call me. She sent me a screenshot of, the smart TVs, how you have all the different Netflix like and all that. Well, it was YouTube. YouTube was on there, and our faces were on that. And so she sent me a picture of I'm like, why is our face on TV? And she's like, because people watch YouTube on their TV. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know how big our faces are?
Yeah, I
so
know.
That's honestly when I freaked out, because I was like, our faces are huge, Lisa. Our faces are so big. Right. And we were that
in the beginning. In the beginning, we were like a hot mess. We didn't know what we were doing.
And I didn't think anyone was really watching. Right. And I didn't pay attention. I really don't pay attention to stuff. And then someone will see me in the street, and they'll like say something, and I'm like, or they'll say, oh, so is Lisa almost done with school? I'm like, how do they know Lisa? I still do that. That I don't know. And I'm like, did I tell them that sometime? Or, our friends will say something, and it still throws me off. I think I want to stay in that bubble, to be honest.
Or even that one time we went out to go to eat in Mussomeli, and these I don't want to say fans, because I don't feel like we're famous, but they're like, can we get a picture with you? And I'm like, what is happening right now?
I know, yeah, because then I'm like, I smell. We just plastered a wall.
I know.
I don't. Good. Yeah, that was a trip, but I get it, because that's when you said this at the beginning of the segment, is that when you're looking, you want to digest absolutely every morsel you can, and I think that's why we became kind of popular quickly, is because I show the inside of other houses for sale, because finding real estate is challenging, and you also don't know what's true. And also the pictures, they don't even, like in the United States, we stage stuff. They don't even clean the house or take out a beer can or towels or anything. So getting that sense of the orientation of a home, walking through a home, that I think is what drew people to like be able to feel that they grasp it a little bit better. And so I think that that's been what, and also we're just not polished. So I think that those things have attracted people. And but just to get that sense, because when you're looking, you will look at everything and you really hope that it's real, but you're not sure, but you want to digest every morsel.
Well, I think it was showing them that it wasn't as the word was, scheme. It really
Yes,
was.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
Right.
a picture to look at. It was an actual home that you went into.
Yeah.
So.
And it's doable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really doable. It's, you know, it's, I would tell my friends back home, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. I'm like, it's just like going to Philadelphia. I don't know Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a big city. Like, I don't know anyone there. Like, if I thought about it as that instead of, oh my gosh, the whole world is changing. You're on the other side of the globe and you can't talk to anyone. And that's just not the case. It was more like Philadelphia. Does it have, Philadelphia is way more efficient, I'm sure, than here, but it's,
Speak the same language.
That way.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges is the language and trying to just learn it. And
Right.
Sicilian is
Something I
different
was
than
going to ask. So
Italian.
how's that going? Because the thing is, you don't have the Italian language. You also have the dialect.
Yes.
Right.
And I think it's different for Lisa than me. And I did not realize this. And 35 years ago, I took high school Spanish. And so words, I can understand a lot more than I can't recall it to say it back. Everyone except this grumpy gas company guy will use the translation app, but Lisa took French. And so she'll say, what did they say? And I'm like, you didn't get any of that? And she's like, nope, nothing. So this, and also,
do you think, Lisa, that's because of the dialect, or is the speed, or just not
the
really
root of the
languages?
words? Spanish and Italian are so similar that when I go into a store and I'll say, do you speak English? They'll say, no, do you speak Spanish? Back to me before, obviously I'm not speaking Italian. It's close enough. There's a lot of Argentinians here that just are like that. Other people that I know that are fluent Spanish come here have zero problems. It's just that, like, the ends of the words, there's enough that you know, so I can understand a lot.
Yeah.
And also it's situational, right? If I'm in a restaurant, they're saying certain words. If I'm in a hospital, they're saying certain words. You know, if I'm in, and so much of it's charades. Like, we get by on charades. And like, oh yeah, that one, no, that one, okay, can we go now? You know, so, and then Italians talk with their hands all the time anyway, so we don't look like it.
It's sign language.
Sicilian does
Although
have
there was one
dialect.
Like, I forget where he worked. I think he was he worked at one of the post office where he wouldn't let us slide. He's like, no, you're gonna say it in Italian.
Yeah,
so, like,
you're gonna.
Yeah, he's like trying to teach us lessons as we're going along. Like,
and I will tell you, I have started 2 weeks ago. Finally, started taking Italian lessons online. Well, I tried to do like the different apps, but I came from more of a structure when I learned Spanish in high school. I needed to do like learn, okay, these are the different conjugations, these are the different pronunciations before we even get into the other stuff. And so for me, that's easier. And so I'm starting to take classes. There's a group of like 10 in the class. So I just started that 2 weeks ago because it is important to me to learn and to have that. But when I tell people in Italy, okay, I'm going to start, because I want them to know, I want to try, I want to be part of this, right? I'm not going to use the translation app forever. And so I'll say, I'm starting to take Italian classes. And their first answer is, oh, good, you can teach English. Not, oh, good, you can talk to us. They equally want to learn English. And so that threw me off, you know?
Well, there might be a better business than kettle corn.
Yes, exactly.
not as tasty though.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. And before we go on, because I have a few more questions, I just want to be able to pause and say one thing that you seem to be, and I already know your summers in Italy, but for anybody that's even considering to buy a home in Italy, it's important to say that you still have a visitor's visa, which I believe is for 3 months. So you are going back and forth until your max amount of time. So, so we've talked to a lot of people of Italians by descent, so that's I won't say an easier path, but a more guaranteed
Mhm.
path. But if you are looking
Right.
into this, it's very important that you look at your options as far as legal residency. Is that correct?
Definitely. And also, so many people assume, like you said, that I'll buy a house and I can live there. And so then I found out, oh, I can't live there. But then my next step is like, fine, then I'll just, when I have to leave Italy, I'll go to France. Well, no, because that's part of the Schengen. And I was like, well, what is the Schengen thing that everyone's talking about? And so I didn't realize that. And there's more and more countries joining that every year. So right now, that group of countries, I can, the 90 days out of every 180 days, I can't go to any of those when I'm leaving
Right.
Italy. And so
That's a good point.
that's important because I really thought I had it planned, but then no, there's a different, how sweet of me to think, and you can tell the newbies because they also haven't researched that far. But I thought, oh, I can do this, and you can't. There are options. I went to Montenegro. There's things outside of Albania. You can go to UK, but you can't live here full time. The first thing I would do is there's free downloadable apps for the Shenzhen calculators. And because it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, it's not necessarily 90 days in a row, but it's 90 days out of 180 days. And so that's a sliding thing for the 180 days. And it doesn't necessarily make sense until you start plugging in dates on that calendar. And then you get, oh, okay, if I take 10 here, then I only have this many there, and it makes more sense. So you do only have 90 days out of every 180 days, and you can't, back to back, like, oh, 3 months on, and then another 3 months out of 180. No, because those together make more than 90 days. So
right,
if
within
you
the
play with
Schengen
the
zone.
calculator is when it helps you. For me, I'm like visual that way. I have to see it and touch it. And so that helps.
Right. That's a good tip. Well, I mean, from what it appears from your platform, you've become such a great resource. And obviously, you've probably impacted a lot of people who've thought about and made the final step. How do you feel about Mussomeli? Because a couple of people have said to me, okay, well, if you take an abandoned town, and I don't think that was really the case with Mussomeli,
Right.
okay, and then you put a whole bunch of foreigners in there, it's just going to become an expat town. Where do you see the balance in Mussomeli that it's still preserving what it is supposed to be, and then also, foreign investment?
I think the people, like, not only the people but the country. Italy has done things the way they're going to do things forever. You're not going to come in here hot. It's like I always say, oh, they're an American. Most expats do, but the Europeans are different. They come in a little slower and have a different. But I think we come in a little hot, like, oh, well, gosh, they could do this more efficiently and this more efficiently. Yeah, they probably know they can. They're just not. So it's just don't try to fix it. And so
Right.
I think that you come in and think, oh, I can do this, we can do volunteer work, we can change, like, just slow down. And I think that the locals have a great way of balancing and understanding. And also, so there's 11,000 people here, even 10% did it, that's 1,000 people. There aren't 1,000 foreigners here, so there's probably about 4% of the population is foreigners, and of that 4%, a large majority go back and forth. It's a vacation home. So nothing's being Americanized or taken over by expats at all. It's being revitalized. And also when they're trying to attract like there's a whole concert series for the summer and stuff. And they can say, we'll have this population in the summer and then this, and a lot of them are foreign, and then they tell their friends, and now maybe this was going to Denmark and playing because they were on social media there. So that adds to it. But as many people that say you're taking over the town, and if you're worried about 4% population of which I don't even think 1% is here full time. It just isn't happening. So in practicality, it's not. And I don't see how it could be. It definitely wasn't an abandoned town, but it was a dying out town for sure, because
of course,
the younger people weren't coming. They were getting jobs on the mainland. They were getting jobs in the bigger cities because there wasn't a lot here. But guess what? Now there's being a lot more here, and a lot more people in their 20s are staying here and that would have before. So it's definitely revitalized it in a way that's not just it's the economy, and also more jobs and more I don't live in a touristy town, but there is, more restaurants now than there were, and more activities and things to do. There's paddleball here now, and so it's definitely added more. So
yeah, like from my summers from summer to summer, because I have a whole year that passes,
right.
and I come back and I'm like, wait, there's a whole new piazza, and there's 3 new restaurants. Like, that's amazing. So I get to kind of see more in your face the changes that have occurred, because it's not over time. It's happening from visit to visit. So it's really nice to see. And the people of Mussomeli are amazing too. Like,
Right.
I've never, and I don't believe Lorrah has ever had that feeling of, we don't want you here.
Yeah.
We're grateful that you're trying to, blend with us. I think it's a disservice if anybody tries to come over and is like, well, we're just going to teach them the American ways. Like,
Right.
no.
Right.
Nope.
You here for a reason. So,
yeah. And I think that's very important for anybody's wishing. You have to ask yourself what you want, because the thing is like, from what I'm hearing from yourself, this project, however you want to say it, is revitalized with respect. You are part of this project to restore something that could potentially have been lost. It's not just buying your dream home or your flip home or anything like this. You are part of this whole community. That's correct.
Yes, I would agree. And also another layer to it is the 20-year-olds are, staying more, but then the 40-year-olds are coming back because it's now a place to raise their family, which they wouldn't have done before, because there's now much more to offer. Because when they grow up here, you want to go back to where you were raised, right? And where your grandparents are or whatever. And so now they can. So there's a lot of Italians moving back here as well, moving back, or their goal was to retire here, and now they don't have to wait till retirement because there is going to be work, and also things are more teleworking kind of thing. They can still do certain jobs. So it's flourished not only because of foreigners, but also the Italians coming back.
That's amazing. That's great to know. You just, both you exude with passion for this project. It just seems like everything is so wonderful. But I have to ask quickly, and you could just tell me one, because like I said, I want everybody to follow you, because you say the ups and downs on a daily basis. Is probably what was the biggest shock, or maybe disappointment, even in like when you embarked on this. It doesn't have to be like a disappointment, but like something that you were not expecting.
Lisa, you go first, because I'm curious to what you have to say.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. Like, I don't know how much of a shock really, but just acclimating to things being shut down, and then things don't open up till late again, and then like, right, they don't have drive-throughs here. Like, it is a pace, so it's not really like a bad thing. It's just like, you need to adjust and be like, right, there's no, like, this is where you get to turn that mindset off and like relax yourself and walk places and take a nap in the middle of the day. I gotta tell you, I acclimated to taking a nap in the middle of the day really well. And then I get back to the States and I'm like, oh no, I don't get a nap anymore.
Yeah.
Well, and I think one of the things I was thinking when you said that, Lisa, was that, remember, that one place opened at 4, we could go pick up a package, we're waiting, and the lady like strolls in at 4:20, no apologies, no nothing. Right. It's just like, I'm opening when I'm opening, and you're like, hello, no, it's just no big deal. Whenever you get there is when you get there. Yeah. And that can be frustrating when you're wanting your package, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's those things you just have to adjust. So it's not like shocking, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so
also on that, so I have to add to Lisa's, and then I have my own another one. But to add to Lisa's, that Sam always says that everything's slower. They have their own pace. They have their thing. I thought that was more applying to like government stuff, right? And you're getting your utilities or getting, and it is across the board. Everything's everything. So like, I had an appointment with an attorney that she let me sit out there for 45 minutes, and she like was chatting casually on the phone, and I'm thinking, you're a professional. Like, why are we not starting this? And then there was no apology again, and no nothing, and universally, it's like universally everything. And leaving the house, I've come home to Lisa, and I'm like, I'm over it because I went to leave. then there's someone moving furniture, so they're blocking the road, and so then they move their truck, and then I pull up a little further, and then someone starts to talk, because you don't see people on cell phones. They just stop and talk to each other in the street, which is great, unless they're driving their car and they're stopping in for the street, right? Now they stop to talk, and no one honks. No one's like, hey, I want to go. So you wait probably a minute at least before you're like, rev, like, hey, I'm behind you. And then you turn the corner and then something else is happening. And, or you can't even leave the house without your neighbor asking if you want a coffee. And then if you're rude, if you say no. So you've got to prepare to leave somewhere to be on time. But this is why they're all late, because all of these things have happened to them and they go with the flow. Instead of leave an hour early because you're going to be asked by someone to have a coffee, you're going to have some sort of thing blocking your way. Something's going to happen. And they just go with that. And so that, you know, one day I just can't, and then because they are doing renovations, there was construction blocking the piazza. So I had to come around the long way to get home. And I got home and I was like, Lisa, I'm done. I'm just done. You know, all these hiccups. But as you get more established and you don't need stuff like, I need this router to come in, I need this so I can function daily, then it's easier. But I think my biggest shock was I've worked in, you know, adjacent to the construction industry or design industry and stuff years ago, and done renovations in the States, all this. And in that industry, no matter what country you're in, construction takes longer, it costs more. I was not preparing for how long here and how much. And I said earlier, if you're 10 minutes from your house, you can't be 10 minutes if you have even the littlest thing happening, because someone will say, oh, I can come now, and you've got to make that happen. Like, you're just locked down until stuff's done.
Or they just show up. They don't always tell you. They just show up.
Yes. And so so that I very, very much underestimated how long it takes. And so I have my house now, and then I did the renovations and stuff myself, and then bought the house next door to me because I want to add it. I don't need more space, but I don't want someone else living there. And also it has a rooftop terrace. So I'm going to pop over into the top of the next door house, and the bottom house part is already set up for an Airbnb or any kind of rental. And and then we bought another house that's divided into two, and we use it for people trying to get their visa, and they need that address for a year. And it's really hard for foreigners to get a registered lease. So that's really why we have that, to help people get those registered leases. And thank heavens I had a project manager that I met from being here. It wouldn't have been someone I met from going back and forth. I had to live here to find the person that had, you know, understood what I was talking about, that wasn't trying to earn an extra, you know, buck because you have American dollars and all that stuff. And so I found a great, great person. And then she helped me project manage the other three. And I really wish I had her for this house, because I would have saved so much time, and it would have been more efficient as it can be here. But if you're not here, things aren't happening. And she was always here. So, and she would go by the houses every day and make sure things are going. And then the way she just yells at them in Italian is beautiful to watch, you know. And I don't know what she just said, but it was effective. Yeah, and then
it works.
One of my friends had a bathroom done by a contractor that didn't do a good job, and so she swooped in, and she was like, you know, after you translate what she was saying, it's like, would you let your mother and your daughter live here? Would you let them shower here? This is a, you know, a travesty. How can you do this to someone? And blah, blah, blah. And then he was on it and fixed everything up. So that is beautiful to watch, because they have passion about everything and the way they speak. And, you know, it was hilarious. So that, to me, I thought I could do more on my own than I could. I just was, that was harder. So DIY projects are not as DIY here as you think, because you don't know how to source things. And, you know, I know how to do everything in the States. I'm doing a renovation now in Arizona. Like, that's easy. I know there's no roto-rooter here for plumbing. You got to know the guy who may be working on a project, may not, and then who's a second guy and the third guy. So there's, you know, not Google, you're not Googling plumbers. And so that was a big challenge.
I think since, like, we pride ourselves in being self-sufficient and being
absolutely.
So like, what do you mean I can't do this?
Yeah. That's great advice.
And with again, construction industry, universal, anywhere around the globe, this happens. That some people are overcharging you and some people aren't. And they tack on a little extra. And so you don't know how to vet that out here until you're here enough to know people to where they'd be like, oh, that guy, that Giuseppe's a bad Giuseppe. This Giuseppe over here, he's the one to go to. And then this painter doesn't do good. So you need to be part of the community. And luckily, you know, my neighbors watch out for me. And people also, one of the other big questions I get is, are you afraid of squatters? Like, there's no security like Italian nonas, man. I've been in my house and my next door neighbor's like, Laura, there's a painter in your house. Yes, and I'm in my house. They're on it.
We're here. Don't worry.
Oh, well, that's a great way for us to kind of, I could talk to you forever, but you know, to kind of taper this off, the Italian Nona. So as you know, March 8th is International Women's Day, Festa della Donna in Italy. And I'd like to talk about that a bit. Your firsthand experience being in Mussomeli. And then also, I mean, you are just such a go-getter. You know, Laura, about what you want. And Lisa, of course, too. But I know that you're not at that stage of life yet, that you're just ready to head on into this. So talk about that a bit.
So it was funny how you say, as you know, Women's Day. I did not know Women's Day like existed. So one day I'm running errands and I see this flower everywhere. And I was like, well, that's weird. And people are giving each other this yellow flower. And then I went there's a great secondhand store in Agrigento. And I went there to get some furnishings and chandeliers. And there's these flowers. And so the guy there spoke English, and so I could ask someone, I'm like, what is the deal with this? And then also people were saying something to me that turns out to be the word congratulations, but I didn't know what they were saying to me all day. So I would say it back, and it could have been your zipper's down, and I was like, same to you, I didn't know what they were saying. And so I go to the furniture place, and I'm like, I got to figure out what's going on. And so I asked him, he has a vase with this flower in it. And I said, what is that about? And he said, it's Women's Day. And I said, what are you talking about? And he goes, don't you know it's National Women's Day? And I think it's on a calendar somewhere, but so is National Pancake Day. So I didn't think it was like a day celebrated. And it is no, it's celebrated. It's like almost Valentine's, where you're making reservations to take out your wife or your mother, it's such a big deal. And so he had the flowers in vase and clearly he'd given to his wife. And I said, oh, so it's a thing, huh? And he goes, yes. And then he looks at his wife and they say something in Italian. And then he gives me the flowers. He goes, I asked my wife if I can share them with you. And I was like, you just gave me your wife's flowers. But he was proud to be the first one to congratulate me with this flower. Right. And so I couldn't believe it was such a big deal. And not just for your spouse or your girlfriend, it's they celebrate your daughters, literally everyone's congratulated me for being a woman that day. And I never felt that way in the States. It's like more like, oh, they're taking more of our rights away. So now it was such a celebration. It was crazy. And I thought, I don't even know how to get a holiday calendar for Italy, because there's like religious calendars and there's celebration calendars and the firework day calendars. It's saints days. I'm going to start my own little diary to know what's celebrated every day, because they're very much into celebration, but clearly they appreciate women on that day big time.
That's amazing. And for any of the women who are watching, listening, reading the article, often there are articles about, solo women traveler, but I really think that you're a great testimonial for buying and moving. And I have a personal friend who's in the process of doing that. She is Argentinian of Italian descent, and she's going to do the duals, and she's single and has been single for years, and she's just going to go for it. So
that's
what do you say to women who maybe hesitate? Oh, I'm a woman. I'm, on my own. Would I do this?
So I will tell you, and Lisa can definitely verify, I am not a people person. I am not a joiner. I am not, I'm actually would do really well in prison in my own cell. Like, I don't need people at all. But I had to change my hat completely moving here. And I had to say, I'm only going to be as successful as the other foreigners or other neighbors around me are is assimilating. So that's why I extended my hand to people. I'm way social. Like my son hasn't visited me here yet, but he's just going to drop over because he's not going to believe how social I am here.
Yeah.
But it's because I had to change hats. I had to know I have to get out of my comfort zone. But it's not hard. It's the first couple people you meet, then it is a domino effect. I'll also say that in Mussomeli specifically, but also around Italy, is other than like maybe just big cities that are more tourist cities, I've never felt safer. And in a way that I'll walk home at 2 a.m. by myself just fine. But in a different way that I didn't expect. I didn't realize that when I'm walking somewhere, like in the States or other countries or where, the way a man looks at you is kind of, I didn't realize like eyeing you, like kind of eyeing you up and down, like taking inventory of something, or what's happening. And when I walk here, they just say, hello. There's no eyeing up and down, like, what age are you? Do I think you're hot? Do I want to ask you out? Can I kidnap you? Like, they're not trying to size you up, right? It's just hello's hello. And I did not realize how much you're being sized up until I was away. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's very, very different. I feel very safe. But again, I wouldn't walking in a bigger city at 2 a.m. in the morning, for sure. But here, and I would say, well, if you're out anytime outside of the very big cities, I feel completely safe. And there are people that want to be friends, but you do have to join Facebook groups, make your own community, be a part of that. And if I could do it, that would again be comfortable in prison, other than the whole, like, I did a crime. Anybody can do it really, because and I just turned 55. I got my first senior discount when I was back in the States. But I just turned 55, and I did it all by myself, and no one really showing me the ropes. So if you can follow a few people and meet a few people, you're going to be fine. Absolutely fine. And there's so many single women, I think 45 over here, that are doing it. And they're like, you know what?
Amazing.
I have a lot I want to do. I'm not doing someone else's agenda. And maybe I'll be here for 20 years and then go be on a recliner back in the States. But for right now, I'm traveling around and having a great time.
I think, Laura, also you had in the beginning, you had kind of broke it down to yourself and said, I've got, like, our life expectancy is about this much. I've got, 15 good summers left in my lifetime. Do I want to sit and wish I did this or think about maybe doing that? Or should I pull the trigger and do it? Because I don't have that much time left. I should live out what I desire,
And if it went, I mean, the buy-in for me, it was affordable buy-in. I wasn't betting my whole life on doing this, right? I still have money that if it goes bad, I can go back to the States, right? So the buy-in was like, well, why not? Like, if it goes bad, I'll stick with it for 5 years. If it goes bad, I would have spent at least that much money in 5 years worth of vacations, right? And instead, I got the whole experience. And if it lasts longer than 5 years, everything's bonus. But money-wise, 5 years vacations and enjoying myself, and then I'll go back. But I don't see wanting to do that. I really don't. And other than grandchildren in the States, but I'm going to kidnap them every summer and bring them to Italy, so they'll be fine.
That is fantastic. Well, in closing, I always ask this question. And of course, when we started the feature, Chat with an Expat rhymed. So, but some people like to say, expat. So, but I always ask, what is a definition of an expat? And you're not fully one yet, but how would you define it? Both of you can.
I would say I like to use the word foreigner more, because my community has gotten to where I did not anticipate coming here, and then also being able to have friends in Ireland now and friends in Germany now. Right. My mom said, oh, when I visit there, how far is Germany? It'd be fun to go to. And I easily said, oh, it's a 2-hour, 15-minute flight. And I know people there. And that was so great. I know people there. And so I think the expat community is more of a foreign community other than the country in. So anyone that's not Italian, I think of as an expat, really, a foreigner. And it's a pretty cool, I just remember my grandpa having an address book in pencil with all his friends around everywhere, and you'd say, "Oh, I'm going to go to Tennessee," and oh, I know someone there, and I feel like that now. I feel like my grandpa, that I know people in places that I never thought, because I opened myself up to it and opened myself up to the expat community, and everyone has different stories that are really cool to listen to. You know,
I love that. Lisa, do you have anything to add?
No, I pick back on what Laura said. I mean, it's just a great community of. It's like everyone you meet has somewhere that they're from. They're from the States, and people are enamored by that. So they're like, "Oh, I want to visit you if I'm in the States." So same as all these great people that we've had the privilege of either living next to now or just meeting and are in the phase of their journey trying to acquire a home. It's just becoming a great community and having places that you can explore together as well.
Right. So in conclusion, let's keep growing this community. And it's great. And you're a big part of it. I was, thank you for connecting with us. I really appreciate it. So for anybody who is not following the Amateurs Abroad, and if you just look up the Amateurs Abroad, you're going to find them anyway. But tell us, how do we find you, with your handles? What do they look for?
Well, we try to be on everything, because like certain people are only on Instagram and only on TikTok, but we're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, I'm doing more on Facebook now. So, and then we have our website, theamateursabroad.com, that lists everything there too. Excellent. And I'm definitely going to get better at posting. And we do a podcast on our YouTube channel. It's the Amateurs Abroad, and really just, we'll get better at that as well. But we used to be real consistent during the journey, and now it'll be like more everyday living here, or how it is. And it's just us talking about just silly, stupid things, that are bizarre to us, but and
most of the time it's things that you just don't think about, like you kind of take for granted. You're like, oh wow, that's not okay, that doesn't happen here. Got it.
And then now that I'm here, so I definitely know Mussomeli. I know the around area. I really do like to help people find things, and I take it very seriously, because one, I know how life-changing it is, and two, they're going to be my neighbor, so I can't have a mad neighbor. And my next goal is to kind of learn more Sicily and help, because I do have people ask, "Can you find me something in Syracuse or Taormina?" I'm like, no, I don't know anything about that, and I don't feel comfortable saying, "Yeah, let me just do that." So I do plan on exploring the island more now that all my construction projects are over, and sharing that. I'm going to share, going around and doing that. So
that's great.
You didn't mention Bodie. He's chiming in.
He's had enough right now.
I know. Yeah.
That's
You'll
right.
see a lot of videos about bringing the dog overseas.
Yeah, but he's been really good up until now. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, in conclusion, we are Live in Italy magazine. The website is www.liveinItalyMag.com, and you can find us on all social media, Live in Italy Mag. And once again, please follow, subscribe, like, comment. It helps us build this community, and we're not crazy. We get to know you, and we want to get to know you more.
Live in Italy magazine is the one to go to. Like, you can trust everything when you're looking on the internet. You can trust anything that comes out of anywhere you publish, and it's so good to have that you know with confidence is true information.
Wow, I appreciate that. Warm my heart. Because that's what I think about the two of you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, no clickbait here. Okay.
No, exactly.
All right. Well, I have not been to Sicily, period. So, hopefully we will do a road trip. You're not the first person, as you know, that we've interviewed from Mussomeli. It sounds beautiful. And I love what you're doing. I love what you're part of it. So continue doing that. And I'm
thanks. I play in a room, so you're welcome to visit anytime.
Thank you. And happy La Festa della Donna. Happy International Women's Day. It is a day, but it's also a month. It's a lifetime. So please celebrate it. Okay.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.